All right, we are live. And now I'm going to hit this. Going live, preview over here. Going live with streaming software. Once you start preview, you have 5 hours. Cool. All right, there's a little bit of a lag. All right, what's going on, everybody? I am super excited for this. We are doing our first stream. And so this one is on YouTube. We are on Facebook. And then also, this is getting broadcasted as well to Instagram as well. So super excited about this. Beta testing something. And I am definitely in one of those swings where I am just trying a bunch of stuff. Very excited. And you can almost say it's distracted entrepreneur time where we're trying out different stuff. So one thing is the school.com platform. Been messing with that, trying stuff out, beta testing that in case we want to move to that in the Healthy Flex prescription. Definitely, if you have like a course or a community you're trying to build, check that out. It's a really clean system compared to like Facebook groups. And then I'm trying out Streamyard, which has me streaming on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram at the same time. And then probably going to be adding LinkedIn, but I was having trouble getting into that. So connect with me on LinkedIn if you haven't already. But we're going to get into some Q&A. And the reason I'm doing this beta test and how I think I am, looking a little different on that screen for Instagram is because this may be some kind of show that I may want to do on like a weekly basis. So something I think is really cool to be able to spend time with you guys, maybe give some kind of, something that's inspiring me that I want to talk about, teach through. And it may not just be fitness, maybe mindset stuff, maybe what I'm reading, what I'm learning. But I feel like this could be a really cool system of having a weekly live where we get into, some kind of topic for 5 to 10 minutes. That has been something I've been thinking about. And then, take Q&A for like 15, 30 minutes or so and just kind of, spend some time together. Make this a little bit of us time. So let's dive in. What questions do we have? And just to be straight up, I am streaming from my computer to Instagram, and there is a little bit of a lag there. But definitely let me know in the comments how this setup is working. I'm using a mic. So we got a mic right off screen. We're using my good camera, but I know how Streamyard is a little bit tough, and it's cutting off my head, it appears. So I think I got to be down here a little bit more. So we'll mess with that. And this is one of those we learn as we go type things. So hopefully that's going to work out a little bit better. So let's get into some questions. What we got, this one is just a beta test. We'll see if this thing is going to be something we consistently do moving forward. Hey, bro, you're amazing. Thanks for the advice. I'm much better than before. Love to hear that. The red swine or the Reds wine, whatever that could be. Early, shout out to you, Ben. And then I think that this also gives me comments from YouTube. I got like 9 people on YouTube. Across YouTube and Facebook, we got 9 people. Appreciate you guys. And if you have any questions, drop those in the comments down below on Instagram. And then also if you're on Facebook, YouTube, let me know where you're watching from. This is, again, all a beta test, but we're spending some time, quality time together, which is, that's my love language. All right, what questions we got? So fitness, nutrition questions. Let's dive in. So we got, bro, appreciate it. Nice, Brody. Cool. Congrats on the wedding. Thank you so much. We had a great wedding. But your boy we are locked in. That is July 14th. It's funny. Me and Nicole too. We got all of our pictures coming in. And I think that the funny thing about weddings is you take all these pictures, you do the thing, you say the I do's, and then it's like we wanted to, make a post or an announcement, but what ends up happening is you wait for the good pictures to come in, and that can be 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks. And then by the time it's like the steam of the wedding is kind of like, oh, all right, yeah, we got married 3 months ago. So it's funny that, we waited until kind of Valentine's Day to post those really nice pictures that were our favorite. My favorite photo is, I think it's the first photo that I used in that swipe through on Valentine's Day. But me and Nicole, we took, I think it was 16 weeks of dance classes. Your boy cannot dance. I have 2 left feet. Never been a good dancer. And we learned how to waltz, and we learned how to do some lifts. And so it was really cool how that came together, and we got some really cool pictures from that. But totally out of my comfort zone. But, that's one of those things that I think this kind of show on a weekly basis is going to tackle mindset, fitness, nutrition, entrepreneurship. Then I think that's one of those things too, like expand your comfort zone. And also it's always cool to kind of give yourself a timeline. You got to figure out the thing. It's do or die. And surprisingly, we didn't mess it up. but it wasn't a perfect run, but it was a darn good run. I was a little bit too fast in the beginning and offbeat, but we still take those. All right, we got a YouTube comment. You have amazing physique and you are great inspiration. I appreciate that, Byron. And then Sean checking in from South Africa. Appreciate you popping in. But yeah, another reason why I'm going to be trying out this content style is because I have fun with these. Yesterday, I had a kickoff for the Healthy Flesh prescription. We had some of our new members come in, and we have a 60-minute kickoff call right before they get started this upcoming Monday. And I came, going into that call is the end of my day. It's like 7 p.m. EST, and I'm like, darn, I really want to go to bed. There's nothing I want to do less than, put on the game face and present and be kind of, in speaker. And I'm not going to, if I'm making a first impression, I'm not going to half-ass that. I'm going to show up and try to do my best. And put on the game face, had the kickoff, and I came out of that kickoff call where it's me talking, relaying expectations, talking about, how the program's going to work out, making sure everything that our clients need, they have. But I came off that call and it's past my bedtime. It's 8 p.m. And I went over to Nicole's office. I was like, dude, I didn't want to do that. I was tired. I was kind of, ready to go to bed, but I am so fired up right now and I really enjoyed it. So it kind of is one of those things. And a theme for me over the last, I would say 6 months, 12 months is going to be, I'm inspired by Brandon Carter, King Keto. Something that inspired me is he said when evaluating his days, at the end of his day, he would reflect back and he'd give himself a happiness rating, between 1 and 10 of how was that day in terms of happiness. And he started evaluating what were those high rating days versus the low rating days. What was he doing most of those days when it's a 2 out of 10? What was he doing when it's a 10 out of 10? And for me, what I'm learning, I love teaching in this kind of setting. And then the cool thing about this is that I can cut these into pieces, into content for YouTube videos that are a little bit medium form content. This will be my long form content. And then I also have an interview coming up at 1:15 p.m. EST on Instagram with one of our clients from HFP. So shout out to Rich. We're making that happen. So I feel like this is a cool kind of strategy and something that I love to do. So that's why I'm really excited about this beta run, and we'll see how it plays out. Hello, greetings from the Philippines. What's going on? Bambi, good to see you from Facebook. What other questions we got? All right, so now we got a lot of comments and stuff. Do you prefer a bro split or PPL for a workout plan? So PPL, push-pull, leg split. I prefer versus a bro split. So there's many ways to, quote-unquote, many ways to skin a cat when it comes to this. And we're also going to try something here, which is going to be, I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to try out. This is, so any other people that are, entrepreneurs or anything, I'm running you through what I am learning in real time. So this is a Google Jamboard, which you can do. So bro split versus PPL. So push pull legs. So PP. L. So there's a few things that we know or we have good evidence to support when it comes to gaining more muscle. So what that is we very consistently see more gains from 2 times per week training, 2 times per week, better gains than 1 times per week training per muscle group. But we have also seen, so I would say just in general, when I'm picking out my workouts, I want to get 2 times per week of that frequency per muscle group. And that's pretty confident that that's going to increase our muscle mass. It's also going to give you a higher, the interesting thing and the reason why is a higher tolerance to gaining to volume. Because if you do 20, let's say you go for 20 weekly sets, doing 20 in one session is going to give you less gains than doing, let's go with, 10 sets in 2 sessions. And then also, doing 8, 4 would be another good way to break that down. So we kind of see that there is a limit on how much punishment, so a limit on how much growth one session can bring. There is an overdoing it point in one session. So there is a per session volume limit per muscle group. So because there has been studies where they've done 40 weekly sets, and the groups that did it in one day didn't grow very well. The ones that did it across, 4 or 5 days, so they spread out that volume, they saw better growth. So it kind of shows you that there is going to be a better return when you're spreading out your volume through the week. So there's kind of a maximum, and this comes from, if you want to do further reading on this, did a phenomenal job, James Krieger. I think he called it the Volume Bible, where he was kind of trying to see why a lot of research shows that, some people respond really great when they're doing 30, 40 sets per week, but then in other researches or studies, the people that only did like 10 sets per week were the highest performers. And what he kind of showed, the missing piece was how many sessions was that spread across. So going all the way back to the actual question, I prefer push-pull legs because it allows you to get more frequency during the week. Gossman said, would love to see the wedding pics. I think we put up like 3 of them. And those are probably 3 of my favorites. I'll tell you, Nicole can probably hear me. She's the next door over. She was not happy that I think I posted 2 of them were like the pre-edits kind of. I think they were already edited, but then we were like, oh, can you enhance this part of the color? So she actually posted the better looking ones. So check out her content at Swan9. But yeah, I posted my favorite ones. So my favorite photos was when we were doing like our pose in the dance that we did. I love how that one came out. That's my favorite photo. I think her favorite was the second slide where we're kind of, looking at each other. And then I really, really liked the one. So where me and her are laughing was during the speeches. Pretty sure it was my buddy Kevin. And he was just telling the story of kind of how we met and all those things. So it was a great day. We had a perfect day for that. Other than squats, what would be best for glute workout? I have a dislocated knee injury. I don't know how much training or squats or much you can do if your knee is dislocated. I would definitely make sure you're in a good position with that first. But hip thrusts are phenomenal. Outside of squats, lunges, Bulgarian split squats are really good. And based off of, I believe, this is of the opinion of people smarter than me. So this is going to be the Renaissance periodization team, Mike Israetel, Jared Feather. They tend to believe that a stretched glute, the glutes respond great to a stretch response. So when the glute gets a lot of stretch in a movement, it does very well. So that's going to be movements like walking lunges. That is going to be Bulgarian split squats, because at the bottom you get a very stretched glute and you're going to be taking it through a big range of motion. So Bulgarian split squats, step ups, if you do front foot elevated Smith lunges, stuff like that. They don't value, the RP team don't really value, to my knowledge, hip thrusts as a highest quality, like S tier movement. But I'd still say it's good to keep in the rotation. I use it more as a burnout type movement. So I'll do 7 sets, 30-second rest, and really get a good burnout with those hip thrusts. All right, we got a couple Facebook. We got hi from Hiran. We got on saying hello as well. Awesome. All right, so other than squats, that's what I would say. And I don't think that any of those are that great with a dislocated knee. Maybe with that dislocated knee, so you're not doing too much knee flexion, maybe you can do something like abduction. So we always call, I've heard them called, good girls, bad girls. And so it's going to be the quote unquote bad girls, where you're pushing outwards with your legs. So that can have your glutes involved without having knee flexion. And then there's mixed opinions too on that being like an amazing glute exercise, but it can be something, could be useful. What other questions we have? What's the best and easiest, simplest way to make your arms flat and in shape? Find a way to get to a calorie deficit. And I'm going to give you guys my tried and true. I think this was in one of my recent posts as well. Tried and true system to losing fat. Because to get your abs flat and in shape, so to get your abs in shape, you just need to lose body fat. So the goal is lose body fat. And because we can only gain muscle so quickly, much slower than we can lose body fat, you're going to want to see a net loss on the scale. So weight loss. So that's what we're looking for here. I think when this port's over, it's not looking as good on Instagram. So I'm going to see if I can increase the fonts on this. We keep learning. Boom. We just made some gains there. All right. So what I would recommend to do this. Step 1, start weighing in daily. Post urination before eating or drinking anything. 2 is going to be start logging daily food intake. Everything that is calorie containing. So that's going to be your sodas. That is going to be the condiments you use. That is going to be, the ketchups, the honey mustards, the salad dressings, all that stuff. Because better data leads to better results. And following that, now what you're going to see is you are going to see trends of your weight average and your calorie intake average. So you're going to see trends. You're going to see your weight is going to bounce around up and down day to day. Our weights don't stay super mega stagnant. There's going to be regular fluctuation. And then there's also going to be over the long term, it is going to, so you have long-term fluctuation. And then over time, the weekly average will display if you are in a calorie deficit or a calorie surplus. So target a rate of loss of 1 to 2 pounds per week. If you fall out of this rate of loss, drop 50 to 100 calories off your average calorie intake. And then you make that adjustment, and then you're kind of playing this game. It's kind of an algorithm. If X does not happen, apply Y and then reevaluate X. So X being number 3, you're going to see those traits. You're going to see those trends. You're going to see if you're losing that 1 to 2 pounds per week. If you do not see 1 to 2 pounds per week rate of loss, so your average from week to week is down 0.5 pounds, you can increase that deficit again by dropping 50 to 100 calories off your daily calorie average. Or you have other options. You could add in to your step count. 2,000 steps equals about a mile. And if you add 2,000 steps per day, you're going to increase your calorie burn per week to 700 calories, by 700 calories. You could also just add in 500 or 1,000 calories of cardio per week. So you can get a system there. So there's many ways to recreate a deficit, but the end goal is, again, thermodynamics. So we're playing the game with thermodynamics. How we get there, the tools that we use to get there doesn't change the game we're playing. Or the score we are keeping, but you can play different games. So in like basketball, you can shoot a layup. You can shoot a layup, I guess. You can dunk it. You can shoot a mid-range jumper. You can do a 3-point shot. You can throw it from half court. All of these are different ways to score a basket, but we are still playing the game of who scores more points. So the points on the scoreboard is going to be that thermodynamic balance. And so if we are winning that game, we will see that rate of loss. We will see that progress. So hope that is helpful. That's what the system we've used with 1,000 plus people over my coaching career. Morning, Kevin. About to hit that morning workout because we get wins at HFP. Let's go, Shy. Shy, shout out to you. You're a legend. And I'm glad that my voice can serenade you as you crush your workout. So I appreciate you hanging out. But yeah, totally. Also, let me know in the comments too. How is the sound quality versus other ones that I've done in terms of lives? Because I'm using a mic here, and let me know, especially on Instagram. I know it's showing definitely differently than prior. But yeah, let me know kind of the feedback on it because I'm seeing it looks kind of blurry on my end from the look of it. So let me know if the quality is coming out good because I'm using the good camera, the one that I don't like to bring around. I didn't know you're married. Congrats though. Appreciate it. Grapiman. G. Rapaman. Sorry if I just butchered that. All right, what else we got? So we got, hello guys, what's going on? Handle, John, Virat, good to see you guys. Thanks for popping in the live. What time is it? It's 9:15. Wow. All right, I definitely have a major hard stop at like 9:45, but we're going to see how much we got. How effective do you find smartwatches are in tracking calories burned? What's going on, Greg? Shout out to Greg. You're a legend. How effective do you find them? I feel that it's like, so we're going to play, it's precision versus accuracy. So precision versus accuracy. Get the Jamboard open. So when it comes to activity trackers, so what this means is precision. Well, let's go first. Accuracy means that it gets it true and correct. So it is an accurate representation. So 215 pounds equals 215 pounds. So let's say you weigh 215 pounds. The scale says you weigh 215 pounds. So precision means that consistent and can be off. So it can be off. So let's say 215 pounds is always showing up as 214 pounds. But it is consistently off by same amount. So as long as something is precise, it's kind of like, I remember the example here being, I'm not skilled enough to use the drawing tool, but it would be like, imagine like a target. You're an archery person. So the target. So accuracy is everything is in the bullseye. You're crushing it. Precision is everything is off in the top right corner, but everything is consistently hitting here. So you have useful information when it's all in the same spot. And just being inaccurate and imprecise, you're just all over the place. So precision is useful. So precision is useful in the way that it can help us make better decisions. We can see our weight trend in this situation. With activity trackers, if they are precise, but even not accurate, they can be useful. So what that means is if you burn 100 calories, but your activity tracker says it's 50 calories you just burned, but consistently every time it gives you that same amount, we have control because we can quantify our expenditure. And that's where it is useful. So what I would recommend in using activity trackers is have a weekly target. So weekly target. You're typically going to have a baseline level of activity. So baseline level of activity plus expenditure or exercise. So what I like to use, and a good example here is going to be like step count. So I like to use step count because it's probably the most consistent. And we have these $1,000 devices that are pretty good. They're better than $5 pedometers. So using your step counts, let's say like on day one, you're doing 4K steps per day, bump to 6K per day. And that's going to be an additional 100 calories burned per day because it's an extra mile traveled per day. So overall, is how effective are they? I think as long as you can find them being precise, you're using the same data, you're using the same treadmill in terms of how many calories it tells you burned. You can use that data because at least it can be consistent in telling you if you're doing more exercise than prior. So I feel that they can be useful, but I am a big fan of just the tried and true step count pedometer because at least that's pretty darn standardized to this point of like calories burned per step. So that's probably where I would go with that. Great question, Greg. Hopefully that was helpful. Sound visual quality is good on IG Live. Thank you, Shai. Appreciate that. Because it looks blurry on my end, but I'm hoping like it's just however it wants to show me. Because I don't even think I get to watch it later. Got a cheat code. I can watch it from my other Instagram, I think. This could just like combust the whole thing though. Because if I open it on my app, it may open up my main account. And then I don't know if we'll save it for later towards the end. Hello from Russia. Do you use visualization for your training? In terms of visualization, not necessarily too much, but I think visualization is always a good thing. In one of the books I'm reading, Atomic Habits, yes, they kind of use, it's not really visualization, but it kind of tells you about if something is visual. This was also, I think, Cialdini in the book Persuasion also, he wrote about this. Cialdini is amazing. So both of them, they said kind of the power of something being in sight, being something you see a lot. Because if you see something a lot, it's close in proximity. It in our own mind, it increases the value of that thing, or it increases that awareness of the thing. So let's say that I guess you could say this, but this is more of an environmental thing. But if you want to eat more apples, instead of like tucking them away in the refrigerator, putting them on like the island counter where you always see them, visual representation, it increases the amount of importance and just the visual cues, and you're more likely to have those. But on the visualization kind of piece, I think that it can be useful in the way of like visualizing yourself hitting that 315 squat, visualizing yourself not failing the rep. And so I would say, I guess, a little bit, but it's not really like a big thing that is my focus on the visualization point. I think that visualizing your goals, visualizing where you want to be, and kind of even, yeah, kind of manifesting, I guess, would be that. I can't say that I'm big on that, but I think I can see the value for it. But I think with visualizing for your training, I mean, sometimes there's nothing to it but to do it. And the visualizing can just be the doing and experiencing. But there is a lot of power to bringing that mental image to you a lot, thinking about it a lot. Can be useful. Your voice changes at times. Yeah, because I think it's going to be like how close I get to the mic versus how far I get from the mic. And then also sometimes my voice cracks. Sometimes I may hit puberty again. Hasn't happened yet. I'm closing in on 30. So you don't know. Maybe I'll be like Barry White in the next live. We use it a lot in tennis, especially on the serve. Oh, visualizing. That makes sense. Because the serve in tennis impresses me a ton because I never got it down, but I would just play, recreationally with my mom. She taught me how to play tennis. I think I won. I think I beat her. And that's all that matters. But I never had a strong serve because I think the amount of like drilling you have to do to also have that control to hit it in that specific area that's pretty far away at those high speeds and velocities, hitting it at the highest point. I never mastered that. And I got so much respect for people in tennis that can nail a serve because it is not easy. Pickleball is cool because you can't really use the serve as a weapon. And I almost feel like that the box you have to hit it into is massive. So it's kind of hard to mess those up. And then also you have less incentive to even like crush the serve. So I feel like for those reasons, haven't stressed it in terms of pickleball. And that is my, what do we call that? That's like, I guess one of my hobbies right now. Going through a busy phase in my life in terms of entrepreneurship. I mean, right now we just are finishing up a hiring round, which that has been cool. We're setting things up for our internal retreat with the team. We also have our next retreat with our clients coming up that we've finally officially picked our location, Smoky Mountains. Super stoked. And so there's a lot of those projects going on. So once the dust settles, we got everybody onboarded. When the itineraries are set for these events, then your boy's going to be back on the pickleball court, and we're coming for that 4-0. We're coming for that 4-0 maybe in the next 5 years. I did recently do a tournament, and I got rocked. Good morning. Good morning, Tess. How will you know your calorie maintenance? So I like to use this because I feel like a lot of BMR calculators are, I don't want to say full of crap, but what I would say is they're not useful because, I'll just write it down. So BMR calculators typically, so we're going to talk about finding your maintenance calories. This is going to be, so my opinion on BMR calculators. It is an average of a lot of people. And in my experience, working with over 1,000 people, there are outliers. And I'm not saying like if the BMR calculator says you run on 2,000 calories, that there's a ton of people that run on 1,000 calories. No, you could just be a 20% outlier. And if there's enough 20% outliers, that's also going to make it not that useful. So what we need to know is how do we, because the BMR calculator, these are things you can type in like what's your sex, your weight, your height, and it's going to spit out in your activity level. And it's going to be like you burn X calories per day. And so you can use one of those, and that's a good place to start. But if you don't know how to change your plan when you're not seeing results, is it serving you? No, we have to change what we're doing. So in terms of like, let's say we start there, even start with your best guess. Or just make a guess. And I'll tell you, after coaching, again, 1,000+ people, if I had to guess for like the majority of like males out there, I mean, if like you're 6 foot plus, start at like 1,600 to 1,800 calories. If you're like 5'10" or under, probably start in the vicinity of like 1,400 to 1,600. And then see, almost dropped my soda there. Let's put that to the side, guys. Then I would say, start. And then you want to take data and you want to reflect and you want to make changes. So start there or just make a best guess. And then I would say for females, probably starting in the vicinity of that, like, depending on your size, that 12 to 1,600 calorie range. My sister, so I got to see both extremes. My sister, she's 6 foot tall, and I got to help her lose 35 pounds after she stopped playing college basketball. And so she was able to diet pretty well on like 1,600 calories. But again, she's 6 feet tall. When she started, I think she was around 180 or so. On the flip side, my wife, Nicole, she is 5'1" and 100 pounds. So my sister, 6 foot tall, 180, versus Nicole, 5'1", 110 pounds. They're going to need far different amounts of calories. So Nicole, I'll be honest with you guys, it gets ugly when she's trying to lose 1 pound per week. She is not a Hummer in terms of the car, in terms of the gas and the energy cost. So calories got to get pretty ugly. So for her, I'm not even kidding. She has to get into the 800 to 1,000 calories per day. Is it overwhelming hunger that she struggles with? No, because our hunger often, if we are making solid choices in terms of satiety, feeling full with our food choices, what that's going to do is our hunger is a pretty good guidance. If we have a sprinkle of hunger, it's a good reinforcement where we are in a deficit. If we're feeling stuffed and full all day, odds are you're probably not in a deficit. So let's talk back to the point of this. So you start there, you make your best guess, and now we got to evaluate our results. So weigh in daily, take your weekly average. All right, look at the change week to week. And you're going to probably want to target a 1 to 2 pounds per week rate of loss. When you fall out of that rate of loss, make a change. You must recreate the deficit. Recreate the deficit. And that can be dropping 50 to 100 calories intake. It can be add cardio. It can be add steps. The world is your oyster. Back in 2nd grade, I couldn't pronounce my R's. So the one word that was the bane of my existence was world. And I almost just like just had some flashbacks there where I could not pronounce that word, world. But this is kind of like what I would say in finding your maintenance calories, because your maintenance calories really don't matter. Your maintenance calories really don't matter. What we're usually into is looking at what is going to help us, lose at the rate that we want or gain weight at the rate that we want. Your exact maintenance calories doesn't matter that much. You just have to see what is the intake that is getting the result we want. Because if your maintenance calories is 2,000, if it's 2,050, you still have to get to around the same calories. So I would focus with the result in mind, which is the rate of loss or rate of gain. Focus on that and make adjustments based on that, because we're about results. We're not about just like, okay, what is my by the singular calorie expenditure? Because you could also do, as I did when I was in a research study back in 2018, I was in a research study where I actually did the oxygen mask to do resting metabolic rate. And I think it would say like it was something 2,000 or something, but I didn't need to know. I just need to know that rate of loss, and that was most helpful. So hopefully that is helpful for you. What else we got? Serve is definitely the toughest shot to learn. I've played in college and juniors and still rough. Respect. Tennis is a whole new game in college and juniors. And then also, whenever you're finished with your tennis career, you can just crush people in pickleball because you guys make it rough for guys like me that don't have as much racket sports background. So I'm staying far away from you if you pick up pickleball. Cool. Your sugar-free Jell-O video changed my diet dramatically. Sweet tooth cravings, be gone. Thank you. I got you, Lockland. That was a game changer for me. It's sugar-free Jell-O is like you can have this amount of food for like 40 calories. It's ridiculous. So at the end of some of my days in my contest prep, I was having a lot of sugar-free Jell-O. Because again, food volume. Do you find anti-inflammatory supplements like turmeric are effective? Well, we got to see like what do we mean by effective and what is our goal of anti-inflammation? Funny thing is if you take NSAIDs, which are anti-inflammatory drugs, so that's going to be like your ibuprofens, etc. If you actually take those in too high doses or in too close of proximity to your strength training, you get less gains. The reason why is because we actually want inflammation at times. Inflammation is not always bad. Inflammation can be useful for our body in terms of, when we strength train. We want the inflammation. We want to, fight those free radicals. We want that pump. We want inflammation during that time so our body can then respond to that and grow better, stronger, etc. So when we have too much anti-inflammation things, there's even studies when people have too much vitamin C, right after a training session like megadoses, they see less muscle growth because our bodies are pretty darn smart. So they have processes, as long as, we're not too far like outlier in terms of like our body composition, et cetera. Just like insulin has a role. Insulin is not always bad. It has a role in our body. Our body created it or adapted to having it for a certain purpose. Same thing when it comes to inflammation. Inflammation is going to be useful from training. So you don't want to have too much anti-inflammation type supplements very close to your training to get best strength or muscle gaining results. That being said, outside of that specific scenario, we do want to reduce, I think it's our baseline levels of inflammation, which usually having, exercise consistently, having a healthy body composition, et cetera, that's going to help a long way there. So as far as turmeric or other anti-inflammatory supplements like those, I'm not sure. I can't really tell you. I don't know what those outcomes are that we're going for with those kinds of supplements. But reducing baseline inflammation, I would say your tried and true is get to a healthy body composition, exercise consistently, consume sufficient fiber. Those are going to be things that are going to stack the box of votes for overall health. Have you ever played Frisbee disc golf or Ultimate Frisbee? Hell yeah, I play Ultimate Frisbee. We used to do it. It was my Thanksgiving. We had a Thanksgiving tradition for like 9 years. I'm pretty pissed we didn't make it to 10, but that was around the time of 2020 and stuff. So me and a couple of friends from high school, we would do it every year. The morning of, we would have a Frisbee game. Sometimes we would have like 8 people show, sometimes 10, sometimes I think we even got 12 or 14 one year. So love Ultimate Frisbee. Haven't done disc golf, but it looks fun. And also in New Jersey, so there's a club or just people that meet up on the weekends to play Frisbee. I did that once in Princeton. That was a lot of fun. So Ultimate Frisbee is actually one of the goals on my list for 2024 to just play a little bit more of. I'm not very good, but I can run and catch a Frisbee. How do you calculate weightlifting percentage 1 rep max? Great question. So boom. I actually feel like that's the best way to gamify training. So 1 rep, this is probably going to be the last topic, and then I got to close up because I do have a lot of calls today, and then I'm also leaving on a flight tonight. So 1 rep max estimation, calculation. So just to let you know, there is NASM has a great 1 rep max calculator chart. You can Google that. It's like a PDF, and it'll run you through. If I hit 10 reps at this weight, what does this relate to in terms of like what my 1 rep max would be? And it's pretty darn reliable. But usually what you can do for 10 reps, if you increase the weight by, let's say, 10 pounds, you can do like 7 or 8 reps. And then kind of, so like if you drop your reps, you can do a little bit more weight. So I would look at the NASM 1 rep max calculator chart. That's a really good one. That's what I always use. And what I love about this is this allows you to gamify your hypertrophy training, because now you can target a goal 1 rep max. Example, like 315 bench without crushing yourself on 1 rep max attempts and failures. Because going to failure can be very energy or fatiguing, especially at the very high loads. And when you're doing a lot of high load training, which is like, you're doing 1 to 3 reps for maximal effort, that has a higher cost on the joints. Like our injury risk is actually higher based on the magnitude of load relative to our capacity. So if I'm doing sets of 10, it's not going to be too hard on my joints, et cetera. But if I'm doing sets of 3 with a very heavy weight, that could be a little bit more, I don't want to say damaging, but there's a higher incidence of injuries as people get closer to powerlifting competitions as they are peaking. So this will allow you to track your progress with sets of 5 to 10. And this will help you like quantify that. So I used to use this when I was powerlifting, where I'd be like, oh man, I just hit, let's say, 255 pounds on bench for 8 reps. I'm like, oh, what does that relate to when I peak for a powerlifting meet 3 months down the line? And it's kind of cool that you can be like, okay, so my rough estimated max is like 305 pounds. Cool. So now what if I got my sets of 5 to 275? What's that going to relate to? So I found this to be a really fun way to gamify and track my training without, or getting an idea of what my 1 rep max was and working towards, progress. I thought that was a lot of fun. So I would just Google NASM 1 rep max calculator or 1 rep max chart, and it's just going to be a PDF that's really useful. Cool. No problem, Paul. Hope that was helpful. I'm going to close this up. This was pretty fun. I enjoy these things. Q&As are a lot of fun for me. And then also I like how there's a whiteboard setting, and this is kind of the content that I like to make. And then I can always cut this up and etc. So if you guys like this, shoot me a message on Instagram and just say, hey, that live didn't suck. I would love if you do more. You can hit me on Facebook. If you're watching through YouTube, hit me up on Instagram and say like, hey, that wasn't too bad, or you enjoyed it, or you got some kind of value. And then I'm going to look to set a system of getting these done on a weekly basis. So what that would look like is trying to find a time in my schedule where I can do them weekly. Maybe it's going to be like 45 minutes or so. But thank you guys for watching. Appreciate you guys hanging with me for a little bit. Hope you got some value from this. I had a good time. So I'll talk to you guys sometime soon. Bye.